I forced my bad neighbors into an unwanted move, by userson_smith_3. I got my very first apartment at the ripe age of 26. I was fortunate enough to be able to afford one without roommates. I was a model tenant, paid my rent on time every month, polite to the office workers, never caused trouble. I lived on the top floor of a 3-story building. Well, 2 years after I moved in, I had new neighbors move into the apartment below me. I was working a swing shift, so my hours were 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., and I often stayed up late to 3 a.m. to do minor chores, dishes, cooking, cleaning, but not vacuuming. I also had 2 cats at the time. My new neighbors immediately went on the warpath against me. I could not make any noise without them banging on my floor. I unloaded my dishwasher at 11 a.m. on a Sunday and they flipped out. They complained to the office about my herd of animals. They sent police to my door at 9 p.m. because I was watching TV, at a reasonable volume with the subtitles on. I literally could not make any sound without them complaining. It culminated in one of them pounding on my door for 10 minutes after I dared call the office to express my frustration. So I called the office back. Told them that I did not feel safe in my apartment due to my neighbor's actions, legal grounds for me to break my lease. But then I dropped my bombshell. My neighbors had 4 people in a 1-bedroom apartment that had a 2-person max capacity. Apartment management told my neighbors they had to move into a more expensive 2-bedroom apartment or their lease would be terminated. They moved to the larger apartment on the other side of the complex. My new neighbors were great. 2 adult men who smoked weed on the balcony. Never even spoke to them. Loved M. I unionized with my 26M dogs against my boyfriend 30M. By user Anani Depressi. I was told to post this here from Ida. Background: my boyfriend, E, and I have been together for 4 years. Whenever I would come over when we were dating, his apartment was messy, but it was blamed on his roommates. I'm very cognizant that I am particular in cleaning, so I thought it just wasn't clean enough to slash my standards. I moved in with him 3 years ago and adopted 2 dogs together. I quickly realized we do not have the same view of what clean is. We have communicated about it and he has made a lot of progress. But, he consistently does one thing, stuffs his colored striped socks into the couch. I have told him that I have had to chase the dogs around because they find them in the couch. He thought it was funny. Over the last few weeks, I have bought multiple cloth dog toys resembling his socks and have trained my dogs to play tug of war with them. They will now dive for them whenever he's laying on the couch and places them on the ground to pick up later. I also do not stop them from playing with the socks anymore. He came home yesterday and found his favorite pair of his socks decimated all over the living room and was furious that I didn't stop them. I told him they were the socks he stuffed in the couch yesterday and he should have put them in the hamper. He stormed off to his office and is not talking to me. Ida. Edit: my dogs do not ingest the socks, they use it as a tug of war object. Using this example, when the pair individually ripped in half, they were no longer interested in it. They fuck up while driving and blame it on me. Sorry, can't come in, by user Muffinman12347. Was on my way to work. I work in an axe throwing venue. Just driving down a straight street near my work, then a guy in a massive pickup truck flies out of a side street, cutting me off and making me almost T-bone him. And he has the nerve to tell me to watch where I was going and called me an asshole and more abuse, like I'm the one at fault. Was super tired and a bit shocked, so didn't have a response as I drove away, but ended up laughing at the thought of it, knowing I didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, get to work and guess who's there? That's right, it's Little Dick Energy Guy. Went straight behind the counter and said, sorry you can't come in, I've already seen you do something illegal as well as be abusive, which isn't tolerated here. As we literally have axes everywhere. He didn't understand till I brought up the car situation. He argued a bit but in the end wasn't allowed in. Whole thing made my morning. Got a random letter from a church lady I've never met, by user irresponsiblefun6323. So yesterday in the mail I got one of those handwritten letters from a random religious person, JW in this case, going over the generic God loves you, you should come to our church, blah blah blah, going to hell if you don't believe, yada yada yada. I find this very rude and get anxious and very annoyed whenever this happens. The woman who sent the letter put her return address and name on the letter, so I made a donation to the Satanic Temple in her name, and she will be getting a thank you card in the mail from them. Was it petty? Yes. Was it worth it? Also yes. You're not my doctor, by user skipreckon777. Years ago I used to work as a pharmacy tech for a major retail pharmacy. Occasionally, we'd have to deal with patients that also happen to be doctors who believe they deserve VIP status. These are the kind of people that think that going to school for a long time means they should be held at a higher regard compared to others. This one particular doctor, we'll call him Dr. Smith, came in one day and while ringing him up he balked at the price of the prescription. Typically prescription copays were even dollar amounts, but this was not. Given that this was early in the year and the price was what it was, I posited that he was seeing his insurance deductible being added into the copay price. This was a typical issue we would see at the start of every year because many people don't know how their insurance plans work. He insisted that it was not his deductible and the insurance must have not been billed. I showed him the confirmation of insurance billing/approval and the price breakdown. He wasn't having it. Cue the following dialogue. I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. If you want to call your insurance company to get more information you can, but I can assure you the billing was performed correctly. That's Dr. Smith. You're not my doctor. A silence fell in the general vicinity. Pills stopped being counted, bags stopped being packed. I didn't break eye contact, his wavered. I don't know how many times in his life he tried to pull that card on people in situations where being a doctor was completely irrelevant in order to assert some misguided sense of dominance, but he found out that day that it was all an illusion. He pulled out his credit card, paid, mumbled something unintelligible, and left visibly embarrassed.